He was the only thing I could focus on that semester. Every glance, every touch, every secret smile made my heart race. I tried to ignore him, I tried to focus, but he consumed me. And when we finally crossed that line, nothing would ever be the same. Welcome to Blind's Thoughts. Please don't forget to subscribe and comment. I've always been good at pretending I'm paying attention. Sitting in the back row, scribbling notes I'd never read, nodding when the professor asked a question. It was easy. Until that semester. That was when he walked in, and suddenly, everything else faded into a blur. He had this presence. Like the world shifted slightly when he entered a room, and everyone else just disappeared. I hated that I noticed. I hated that I wanted to notice. His name was Mason Reed, and he had this effortless charm that made everyone around him laugh, lean in, follow him like he was a magnet. But for me? He was more than charm. He was a storm I couldn't resist, a pull I couldn't fight. The first time I saw him, he walked into the lecture hall late, hair a little tousled, backpack slung over one shoulder, and that slow, lazy grin that made me feel like I was both melting and on fire at the same time. I tried to focus on the professor's monotone lecture about economics, but every word became white noise. My eyes kept drifting back, tracing the line of his jaw, the curve of his smile, the way his fingers drummed absent-mindedly on his notebook. By the second week, I realized I wasn't alone in noticing him, but I didn't care about anyone else. Not their notes, not their grades, not even their eyes following him around like they were hungry. I wanted him pure and simple. I'd find excuses to be near him, sit in the same hallway, pretend to reach for a pen he had just dropped, laugh at jokes I barely heard. Anything. Then, one rainy afternoon, fate, or maybe just my obsession, led me to the campus library, a quiet corner where he usually came to work alone. I spotted him tucked between shelves, headphones on, completely absorbed in his laptop. I debated leaving. He probably didn't even notice me, but my feet had a mind of their own. "Hey," I said, my voice just above a whisper. He looked up, that grin creeping back, and something unspoken passed between us. "Hey," he replied. Simple, casual, but it made my chest tighten. I found myself sliding into the chair across from him. Conversation started awkwardly, small talk that felt forced, but gradually, it became a rhythm, a pull that neither of us could deny. I learned that he loved jazz, hated mornings, and had a guilty obsession with chocolate-covered almonds. The more I learned, the more I wanted. It wasn't long before I noticed the little things. How his hand brushed mine when passing a notebook, the way his gaze lingered a heartbeat too long, the subtle warmth that seemed to radiate from him when our knees accidentally touched under the table. I was burning from the inside out, caught between fascination and desire, and I knew I was not alone in feeling it. One evening, late after a group study session, the campus was deserted. He walked me back to my dorm, and we lingered at the gates. The rain had stopped, leaving the air electric, shimmering. I couldn't speak, couldn't move, couldn't think. He reached out, tucking a strand of hair behind my ear, and suddenly, it was like time folded around us. "You know," he murmured, voice low, "I've been noticing you too. All semester." My heart threatened to burst. "You what?" "I'm serious," he said, leaning closer, the warmth of his breath sending shivers down my spine. "You're the only thing I could ever pay attention to in class. Everything else just disappears." I swallowed hard, caught between fear and exhilaration. Then he smiled, that damn smile, the one that made me weak in the knees, and I knew I couldn't resist. We didn't kiss right then, not in the library, not yet. But something had shifted. From that moment, every glance, every brush of fingers, every shared laugh carried tension, suspense, and anticipation that neither of us could ignore. By mid-semester, it was impossible to focus on anything else. I would sit through lectures, my pen moving automatically while my mind replayed every encounter with him. He had become my obsession, my distraction, my thrill. Every time I saw him laugh with someone else, I felt a pang of jealousy I didn't care to hide. Every time he looked at me, the world fell away, and I couldn't help but smile. One late night, studying together in my dorm, he leaned over to whisper something about an assignment, and his lips brushed my ear. My skin ignited, and I turned to face him. His eyes were dark, smoldering, full of promises that made me forget where I was or what I was supposed to be doing. "You know," he said, his voice husky, "this could be the best semester of our lives. If we let it." I didn't hesitate. I leaned in, and our first kiss was everything I'd imagined and more. Hot, electric, consuming. In that moment, I realized he wasn't just a distraction. He was the reason the semester mattered. He was the only thing that made me feel alive. By the end of the semester, the classroom no longer mattered, the lectures no longer held sway, and the exams were trivial. What mattered was us. Mason had become my focus, my desire, my secret thrill. And as we walked out of that lecture hall together, hand in hand, I knew that no matter what came next, I'd never forget the semester I couldn't resist him.